Well, I was talking with Haley over the break about some of the conditions we saw all day with an interesting line of clouds. Now, San Angelo, if not the Concho Valley, is always right on the edge of some of that severe weather. Prime example, while we get a good shot of Venus when it goes under the horizon, you remember talking about it earlier. You look out early in the morning off towards the west, you're definitely going to see that alignment before it again goes below the horizon as we make our way into sort of that earlier sunset. Right now, looking at 6:07, well, sunrise somewhere around 7 or so. Of course, looking at these temperatures over the last 24 hours, way down there for that cold start, only up above freezing for a few hours, then right below that below freezing mark. And tomorrow looking like another cold start. We're only getting up into the 40s, so go ahead and warm up the car before you take off. If you have to get on the roads, bundle up, just wear lots of layers. It's going to be cold for a while. 27 in San Angelo, everybody else in those lower 20s, if not those mid 20s with us. Shades of purple sliding their way in. 16 up there in Sterling City, 28 down there in Junction. Still 12 degrees across the entire region. Now we're still seeing a little bit of those warmer temperatures, relatively speaking, off towards the east, while those teens are set to make their way in. Now it's going to make its way down to the 20s here in the Concho Valley, if not San Angelo, and we'll see where the other cold spots are. Look at El Dorado, so we have a good idea of those elevations and where we can see some of those, of course, colder temperatures. Now dew points way down there in the single digits. Humidity indices have only come up about 10% across the entire region. When we talk about some of these drought conditions, this is unusual as well and unfortunate when we're talking about those strong northerly winds keeping a lot of that moisture, even if it was ice or snow, primarily off towards the southeast, where they're going to see rounds of snow and ice along the Gulf Coast. We keep our eye on the stability when we look at the cold air sliding in across from the northern area and, of course, around the Rockies. Now, Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota have been the areas I've been keeping my eye on to get a good idea of where the cold air is going to keep its sort of direction from. When we talk about sort of the Rocky Mountains and what they're seeing as far as cutoff lows off the west coast, when we see the formation of this upper level pattern, we get a good idea of how cold the air is from the north. That's what we're seeing right now. By the time we get towards next week, if not the weekend, we're going to try to warm up into those 60s, but this cold air that's going to slide down off the west coast will keep things primarily pretty cloudy and pretty chilly across the entire region for about a week. We're waiting for the warm up here as we make our way closer towards transition season. January is almost over. Now the water vapor imagery is showing you the cold air, the next round making its way off the west coast. Right now we're sort of seeing the instability across the Concho Valley, and here comes the next round of Arctic air around the Rocky Mountains. We talk about the upper level pattern, sort of what it looks like in that water vapor imagery. We're talking about those humid conditions. Now winter weather advisories across the entire nation. Again, it's sliding in with that upper level pattern, those strong winds from the north all the way down here into the Concho Valley. Now you see them along the Gulf Coast. When we get into the futurecast, we're trying to nail down when we could see some of that light flurry action off towards Junction, if not somewhere near Ballinger in the morning. So you see this cloud cover we're fighting with right now. Early into Tuesday morning, again, that cold start we have our eye on. Then things clear up by Tuesday afternoon, but it's not going to get too warm, only up into those 40s. So tonight, if you have to go outside, it's getting down to those 20s, only a couple more degrees to go. People, pets, plants, and pipes, Brian, and then tomorrow up into the 40s. But again, the cold weather advisory is still in effect, and then we're going to go right back below those freezing temperatures as we hold on to those northerly winds. Now, as we continue to make our way into the weekend, I can't believe we're going to wrap up January as we only push up into those 60s, having our eye up for the next warm up. But those overnight lows still hovering around those 20s, if not those freezing marks, while we still push into next week around those 50s. Stay tuned. I'm over the break. You're watching KSAN News at 10.